Hey everybody, Alex Kozora, SteelersDepot.com, back to do another tape breakdown of Monday's 27-14 win over the Miami Dolphins. I want to talk Mason Rudolph today, and it was really a tale of the first quarter versus the rest of the game, with Rudolph obviously got off to that horrendous start where I believe he was 1 of 6 with a pick, and then finished well and playing well the rest of the way. And I want to just look at some of the differences he had, some of the reasons why he struggled early, because while I was really impressed by the response and the mental toughness and the poise that he showed to bounce back from such a terrible start, we do want to examine why that start was so terrible. And being a young quarterback in his first year starting, replacing Ben Roethlisberger, you want to really see, his growth and maturation and where he can get better. I mean, that's the number one thing you want to look at, and he's looking at, regardless of how he finished the game, which was well. How can you improve? And I thought, for Rudolph, especially early, was his pocket presence and pocket movement was really poor. And I actually thought that was one of his better traits, that's really kind of grown throughout the year. But there were some really questionable decisions or lack of decisions early in the game. This is the pick, as I'm sure you've seen by now, to Xavier Howard early in the game. This is a three-man rush by the Miami Dolphins here. Rudolph has all day, and he knows that. The issue here is that he stays in the same spot on his drop the entire time. Never gets off his spot where he dropped. And he has time here to extend the play, to slide, to move around, and wait for something to get open. I think he forces this one. I know in the broadcast, ESPN, they were getting on Pouncey for getting bull rushed here, which he does, but we're 5 to 6 seconds into this rush. You're one-on-one. You're going to give up pressure eventually. At this point, Rudolph, he can slide to his right, he can climb, he can bail to the left. For some reason, he just feels that pressure, and instead of moving in the pocket, creating space, waiting for something to open up, he's now throwing into Pouncey here. He can't get a good platform, can't drive the football. He's basically standing straight up, and it creates this lollipop lame duck that gets picked off by Xavier Howard. There's a chance here to keep this play alive, wait for something to develop, create a scramble drill, and Rudolph simply does not do it here. Again, it's just a three-man rush. I mean, I don't really care what he does, whether he wants to start rolling to his right, trying to step up, go left. He's just not feeling the rush here, and he's feeling that pressure that isn't there, and he never moves off his spot at all. And you don't have to be a Lamar Jackson type of mobile quarterback to move within the pocket. I think his mobility within the pocket has actually been impressive for most of the year. So look at it here. Let me roll this thing through. I mean, he goes through his progressions, but again, create some space, buy yourself some time there, instead of just standing in the same spot and letting the pressure come to you. And as soon as you feel it, you try to throw the ball and make a really poorly thrown pass based on some really ugly technique. Again, standing straight up, not being able to drive the football, and just throwing really a lame duck pass that gets picked off. So that was the issue here on this play, was just on a three-man rush. You got to be able to move around. You have time. Something's going to develop if you wait a couple extra seconds. Scramble drill guys are going to start moving around and finding grass. So just a rush play that was unnecessary from Rudolph right here. Later in the first quarter, this was the near second interception to James Washington down the left sideline. And just to start, because I know people will say it, Washington should have made this catch. I think it's fair to criticize both Mason Rudolph and James Washington on this play. But again, looking at Rudolph within the pocket, and it looks like a rookie. It looks like somebody that's very uncomfortable back there. And so we'll check it out on the end zone view here. But you're going to see kind of a similar problem as the first clip. Now, you are getting a blitz here, a four-man rush with the DB off the edge, but it gets picked up well. And Connor picks it up, but Rudolph, again, just feels like he's rushing the throw. He's not stepping into it. He's got poor mechanics. You can kind of see him freak out right here when that DB comes in. You kind of see him almost like he wants to bail, and then he tries to reset and fires it. And again, trying to throw in the Connor a little better base here, obviously, but this throw's late. It's sailing. It's not where it needs to be. Again, very much so, Washington needs to make this play and be more physical at the catch point. But Rudolph has time here. He can slide to his right. He's got all this space here. He can try to climb. He's got a check down. Eventually it opens up to Vance, but feels a little bit of pressure, and he wants to try to get rid of it on a throw that he just can't make. So we'll look at it from the aerial view here, because I want to look at the throws in particular. And again, this is a long corner route that James Washington is running, and it ends up being way too short. You see Washington down here, inside stem initially, comes back outside, and the ball ends up being well underthrown. So again, Washington's got to be able to make this catch, but not a well-thrown ball, not well-timed, and poorly placed from Rudolph. And again, within the pocket, he feels that hint of pressure. Instead of being able to slide, buy yourself time, you're fine. It's blocked up well. It's only a four-man rush. He's trying to bail and get rid of the football. So we'll look at it one more time. Again, could slide, could step, kind of freaks out when he feels that first little faint bit of pressure and throws a poor pass. Want to move to the second quarter now with Rudolph, and this is the time, the first two clips we saw he wasn't moving within the pocket. He got, took his drop and he just never came off his spot. Here, he actually does the opposite. He's sliding himself into pressure. He probably could have stayed in the spot, but it all goes back to the feeling of pressure that causes him to play, unfundamental football. So right here, a little bit of a blitz. They're running this game to the inside. And Rudolph, for whatever reason, wants to now slide to the right, and he ends up sliding into pressure and ultimately sliding into the sack. So we'll look at it again and break this thing down. Picked up well, but he feels the guy looping here, and I don't know what. He's just kind of feeling that internally where he thinks there's going to be pressure. Instead of just staying cool, calm, collected within the pocket on this instance, he now wants to take a slide step to his right. Well, they're running a game here to the right side too, and now it's a lot harder for Filer to try to block this when Rudolph set up almost on top of the edge rusher here. And so makes that block really impossible because now the rusher can just go vertical instead of now trying to go through Matt Filer and ends up getting pressure, and ultimately Rudolph gets sacked here and fumbles the football, and luckily recovered by David DeCastro. So just, again, poor pocket presence, the opposite here where he's moving and he shouldn't have, as opposed to the previous plays where he wasn't moving, he wasn't getting off his spot, and he probably should have to extend the play. So again, just feeling that pressure, making mistakes, and that was the issue that really plagued Rudolph early, along with some mechanical issues. Again, not stepping into throws, not being able to weight transfer and drive the ball, his front foot not being pointed to his target that caused passes to be thrown behind or inaccurate with his ball placement. But right here, just taking a step he doesn't need to. And he did not feel the rush well, and really you could say that about the entire first quarter, and this is into the second quarter too, where he's just not feeling the rush well at all. So what changed in the second half when Rudolph picked things up and really played well to close out the game, really second quarter on, but primarily in the second half? Well, again, I think he just got more comfortable, got settled in. Obviously, there was rust from missing 3 weeks, getting hurt in the Baltimore game, missing the Chargers game. You had the bye week, and now you have an extra day on the Monday night to wait and just for that rust to accumulate. So I just thought overall you saw Rudolph. It wasn't dramatically different. There aren't a ton of examples of this, but I thought his pocket presence overall did get better. Great example here, throwing across the middle, standing in his own goal line to Juju here, and just stepping up, hitching into the pocket. Those first two clips, you never saw a hitch. You never saw him climb. He got to the top of his drop, and he was just feet in cement, didn't move. Saw that third clip where he's sliding into pressure when he doesn't need to. He never really stepped up into the pocket. Here, he's going to hitch, he's going to climb, he's going to deliver a strike to Juju and a well-thrown ball against man coverage, out in front, where only his guy can get it. And it's a 17-yard completion. So we'll look at it here. 4-man rush, picked up fine. A little bit of pressure on the outside. Hitch, climb, step up into the pocket, drive the football on time, on target, hits Juju for a big gain. He actually did a nice job in this game throwing out of his own end zone. That was the 3rd and 11 completion of Deontay Johnson. And this, I believe, was a third down, too. Second down. I apologize. To Juju, but still a nice strike out of his own end zone. So just feeling the rush better, climbing up into the pocket, being a little less of a statue within the pocket. No, he's not a terribly mobile guy, but you could have great mobility within the pocket. All quarterbacks need to have that, regardless of what their 40 time is or their ability to scramble or run the football. That part doesn't really matter. So I wanted to look at that today. I'll let this clip run through because trying to go back is going to be a pain. But just saw a big difference from Rudolph, with his pocket presence, kind of calmed down, which was to be expected. As he kind of got settled in after a quarter, shook off some of the rust. And I thought just going forward, his pocket presence has been strong overall heading into this Dolphins game. And I thought once he kind of got back to those fundamentals and started moving off his landmark and just showing some more mobility and being smart about how he moved too, he played a whole lot better. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below, whether you're listening on YouTube, following me on Twitter at @Alex_Kozora, or following the website SteelersDepot.com. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll talk